The Kurdish race will be no more. We'll gas them, we'll behead them, and we'll fucking gut them forevermore. Your system is much easier, much better. So you guys should be doing much better with
of course we
much
do.
much less effort.
Well,
but you're not.
Well, every country dreams about. Well, those statistics that you found, those are from like high school statistics. But if you look at the university studies, where in the world do people get Nobel Prizes? Where in the world do they hold this ceremony?
Let me explain to you.
In which country?
Friend.
In which country? Tell me in which country? Yes.
I'm going to answer your question. And the University of Stockholm is the host of Nobel Prizes. But now I'm going to ask you what country, my friend, has garnered more of those awards. And we both know it ain't Sweden.
Well, I mean, how many people? Of
by
course.
By all accounts, your greatest acknowledgement that your country has to offer doesn't go to your people.
Yes.
But it goes elsewhere.
Of course. I mean, we're only 9 million people. It goes to us.
I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my motherfucking case.
No.
Yeah.
As for a population with 9 million people, we have people get the Nobel Prize as well. But if you consider America a population of 300 million people, I mean, come on.
This is your game.
2 people.
Do you know what? This is your game. You invented
this
it.
Is not a game.
It doesn't matter how many people we have. It just matters who wins. You know what? By all accounts, you know what? People don't piss and moan and cry because it snows in Sweden all the time, and y'all don't have anything better to do except fucking ice skate and ski. Y'all win more fucking medals than anybody else. You should have a handicap or mulligan that we benefited from. But we don't. We compete on the same scale, even scale, as everybody else. So that's all just a crock of shit, or in a more glorified sense, we call it an excuse.
No, Tom.
Oh yeah,
the thing is, if you're being narcissistic,
if by all accounts what you say is true, then that means the 8 million people that graduate should be far superior in terms of education than everybody else in the world. Or at the very least, you should be designated in the upper echelon. Let me not be unfair about this, but you know what's funny?
What?
You're not even in the upper echelon. So, that being said, you can say all you want, but it boils down to a simple matter of what is and what is not. And 2 times 2 is 4, and anybody that says different is peddling nothing but a sack of shit.
Oh boy, Tom, it seems like you have so many barrels that, I mean, you don't even listen to what I have to say. You listen to what I say, and then you spin it to your own superior needs.
And it doesn't work out the way you like?
No, because you spin it to your superior needs. That's why.
Is that the Kurdish way to blame everybody else?
Because you don't even know what kind of party.
The Germans, by all accounts, let's use the Germans as the better excuse. In Germany, their population is just a little over 40 million. Okay?
No. You're wrong. You're wrong. Tom, you're wrong. You're wrong. No, because they're not 40 million, stupid. There are 89 million people in Germany. 89 million.
All right, okay, so I'm 50% right. So let's just take 80 fucking.
No, you were totally false.
Well, totally false.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I'll give a stupid fucking Kurd that accepts welfare and insists he's not a socialist.
No, you're wrong again.
So let's say 89 million, and in 19 1914 through 1921, their economy was completely devastated. In 1939 through 1945, again, in one generation, devastated. The infrastructure was non-existent. The educational system was non-existent, from zero. And by all accounts, Stockholm, the University of Stockholm, which Albert Einstein tenured on the faculty to, was one of the greatest and most prestigious colleges in the world. Now, Germany doesn't have even a fucking college. They have nothing.
Because they went to war.
They were occupied by two hostile nations that prohibited them from having anything. Now, let's take a look at where they're at today. In terms of education, in terms of prosperity, in terms of innovation and ingenuity, they're unparalleled in Europe. They have no peer.
Of course. Germany is the leading economy leader of Europe. I agree with you.
But why? There's nothing to agree to. The numbers support that. So now tell me why. Tell me how Sweden, who did not have to deal with any of those issues in the last 100 years, not one time, that they had to deal with utter and complete devastation and completely rebuild in every aspect of their society twice in the last 60, 70 years, and they best y'all by the length of a football field.
Well, if you have, I mean, I know Germany. I give credits to Germany. We stand on the same point when it comes to Germany. They have it's kind of like a norm in Germany. It's not about standing on the
same point. The question was why. It's not that you're trying to debate facts.
All right,
I conceded 89 million and 40 to you. It's not a debatable issue. It's what is.
It's a norm in Germany.
What is we've already established they're far superior in every way.
I know.
To Sweden or anybody in Sweden. So tell me why.
I know in Germany they have this mentality. In Germany, almost in every German, they have this mentality.
Stop before you go any further. Stop.
Yeah.
And what is your mentality? I've already identified that a half a dozen times. Germans don't make excuses. Germans do. I also established that the singular biggest reason behind the success of the Vietnamese in the United States was the same again.
Yeah.
There is no alternative but success. There is no excuse. There is no settling. It's only doing. If it's contrived or born of arrogance or pride, and both apply, isn't that secondary to the notion that that is the genesis of extraordinary things?
Yes, it is.
You and the Kurds want to blame the whole world for your problems, but the Germans, they didn't say, well, those fucking cocksucking kikes.
We haven't blamed anybody.
Kikes got the whole fucking world to go against us. Those fucking Americans, those cocksucking Russians, they fucking slaughtered us. Those motherfuckers. If it wasn't for them, we would have everything.
But Kurds are allies with America. We don't hate America. We're allies against America.
You know what? The Kurds are allies of anybody that will subsidize their cause. And the United States doesn't recognize Kurds or your people as a nation. They've only subsidized yours as a people as a cause against greater evils than what we perceive you guys to be.
Well, the reason why
we subsidize the Syrians, and Syria is on our national terror watch list. But because ISIS is considered a preeminent threat to Syria, and ISIS is a common foe to Syria, now the United States actually is funneling weapons to a nation that is allies with Russia. Unprecedented. So I'm not really sure what it is that you're trying to say, because in essence, 20 years ago, we subsidized Iran. In fact, we're the ones that put Saddam Hussein into power. It was under the Nixon administration and the CIA director called George Herbert Walker Bush, who became the 38th president of the United States of America, that put Saddam Hussein into office.
And here comes my question.
We subsidized him in furthering his cause in his quest to massacre maybe millions of your people.
All right, here comes my questions. All right, America's put Saddam Hussein in power in Iraq. Yeah, that's true. But why then 20 years later, the public is not even informed. I mean, most Americans don't even know that America was putting Saddam Hussein in office. And then 20 years later, they sent American troops to Iraq. And why suffer so much life and cost just because of American interest? Well, it was a good thing that America did it, but I'll tell you right now,
it was the single worst thing that ever happened in the Middle East. And if you asked anyone today in America if they had it to do all over again, that Muammar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein would still be alive and in power today. And I'm going to tell you what the of his demise was, and that was arrogance and pride.
He went to war against Kuwait. He went to war against Iran.
No, it really didn't have anything to do with that.
He was too greedy. He was too greedy. Yes,
we don't care about greedy people. We don't care about greedy people.
So why did America help Saddam Hussein?
That's the mantra of the United States. What we care about is greed. We care about our money and our interest more than anything else. And when his interest threatened to destabilize in our minds or politicians' minds, but that just shows you how stupid
politicians' minds. Yeah.
Because, listen.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein had aspirations that the Ayatollah has in Iran. He wanted to, rather than be a team player, he wanted to be the boss.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we took him out of office, which destabilized the entire Middle East.
Almost every.
The Middle East is in the most precarious state it's ever been in the history, in modern history, since the abolition of the Ottoman Empire. You know what the Ottoman Empire was?
Yeah, of course.
Well, what was the abolition of the Ottoman Empire, if you know what it was?
The abolition of Ottoman Empire.
When did the Ottoman Empire cease to exist?
Well, it has been existed for like centuries in the Gulf of.
That's not true. So I'm going to answer your question. World War I, which was the beginning of the 20th century.
That's when they collapsed.
Okay. Yeah. In 1917.
Yeah.
Which was the beginning of World War I. That was the beginning of the end of the Ottoman Empire.
Exactly. That's when
the Ottoman Empire, Saudi Arabia did not exist. No. Iraq did not exist. Iran did not exist.
No.
None of those Israel didn't exist.
Iran existed since 1970 when the Islamic regime took the power.
That's when the Shah of Iran fell. Iran existed.
But Iran was a modern society. And back in the 70s, Iran used to be a modern society, just like in America.
Was a ally of the United States of America.
Exactly.
And the organization of the Middle East was solely at the behest of the United States during the Versailles Treaty, which was implemented in 1918. Okay?
Yeah,
and when the big three met in Malta, they reestablished that because the boundaries of all of those countries were loosely translated. Okay?
Yeah.
So when King Saud, you know who King Saud was?
King Saud.
Yeah.
Which one? King Saud? Was the king in Ottoman Empire? Are you talking about the Sultan?
No. King Saud was the ruler and the principal monarch of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia means Kingdom of Saud.
Saud.
That's what Saudi Arabia means.
In Arabic, yeah.
See, I may know a little bit more than you thought I did. Matter of fact, I may have been to the Royal Palace in Saudi Arabia a number of times. Matter of fact,
you said you've been in Lebanon.
My next door neighbor might be the son of King Saud of Qatar.
Nah, you're fucking me.
No,
you're fucking me right
I'm not.
now. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Well, why don't you go and look?
One of the sheikhs in Qatar lives next to you.
His son, the crown prince.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you're a wealthy guy, and I'm sure you have wealthy sheikhs living next door to you.
In Sweden, we don't have so many, like, Qatari and kings.
No, that's where all the poor people go to be supported. The rich sheikhs want to go to London, where there's shit to do and pussy to fuck, places to spend their money, or they want to come to America.
But I remember my teacher, politician teacher. She told me that Osama came to Sweden one time. Osama bin Laden came to Sweden. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
That's why he got the largest chunk of the richest land in the Middle East. It wasn't an accident. He worked very closely with the United States during World War II against the Nazis, in conjunction with some very influential people like Armand Hammer and J. Paul Getty, to affect the war effort. Okay?
Yeah. See.
So the moral of the story is this, okay?
Yeah.
You have one of two choices. And you know what? King Fahd, when I first met him, was not a king. He was Saud's oldest son. He was a crown prince who became the king of Saudi Arabia. He just passed away a couple of years ago. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, his youngest brother is the king of Saudi Arabia, Suleiman. I've met him too.
You met Suleiman.
They have taken all of their children who have gone to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Oxford, Cornell.
Oh boy. How big is that chance that you meet the Prince of Qatar and so?
It's a little bit mind-boggling.
How is the chance? I mean, for me, it sounds like.
Well, meeting the guy is not a big deal. The idea of their wealth without impunity is a little mind-boggling.
Well,
Once you get past a certain number in life, money is just a number. It's a tool that fosters a cause.
Yeah.
But when those numbers become so exponential, it's kind of like Bill Gates said he would never leave his children any money.
Yeah, to give it to the poor.
And he just bought his 13 or 14-year-old daughter a horse farm that by some accounts cost about 130 or 140 million dollars.
Yeah.
If you make $1 million in your lifetime, you'll probably think you're shitting in tall cotton. What about somebody that just got 140 million of those dropped in their lap at 14?
Good for him.
So somebody asked him, said, I thought you said you weren't going to give your children, any substantive wealth. Because Bill Gates is a self-made man. Okay?
Yeah. But he still works.
In his garage. Well, he had no money when he was 20, 25 years old. He lived in his parents' garage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But again, he didn't make excuses about what he wanted to do and why he couldn't do it. He just did it. And because he did, now he makes so much money that he cannot give it away fast enough. And the truth is, he gives more money away to social causes than any man on planet Earth or any man who has ever lived on planet Earth. And still, every year, he's the richest man on planet Earth.
So what's your opinion about Steve Jobs?
Well, he was a self-made guy. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, he wasn't such a nice fella.
What do you mean? Like, how? Wasn't he so nice?
Well, I mean, his best friend, Steve Wozniak, who was his partner, and the co-founder of Apple, said he was a lying, backstabbing, thieving, trifling son of a bitch.
And that's why he died very early, do you think?
Probably. Karma's a bitch.
True. So when you tell me all these stories, it kind of reflects me to your stories when you told me that you were in prison and now you have so much money. That you came out of prison for,
How many people do you know that can do that?
Not many. Not so many.
I'm not saying I'm the only one, because that's not true, but here's what I will tell you.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, in every country on planet Earth, industrialized and non-industrialized, the recidivism rate is in excess of 50%.
Yeah.
In many countries, that number tops 80%. In this country, that number is 80+%.
Yeah.
That means that the people that go to prison, that go back to prison, and go back to prison, represents over 8 out of 10 people. Okay?
8 out of 10 people.
Even based on the facts, and I've been to prison more than once and more than twice.
Well, then why did you go in and out from prison? Yeah.
Based on the facts, because, again, that's why y'all are afraid of me. Because let's quit pretending.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a lot nicer than I used to be. 20 years ago, I would have hunted you down, and I would have cut you open like a fucking pig, and I would have went upstairs and looked what's in your refrigerator and fixed myself something to eat.
Sounds a little bit like a psychopath, but I mean, yeah, it's good that you made
it whatever you want.
All right, I call it whatever I want, but listen.
Somebody, and you know what? My enemies and people that have had to deal with me, they call it somebody you don't want to trifle with or somebody you don't want to fuck with. Hence, here's the reality. Tom, tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you guys, even at 10,000 miles around the world, are so afraid that you don't even want to share anything with me. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be really honest with you. That's very wise.
Yeah, I could tell that you were like not okay upstairs, but because I could see your pictures in school that you were. Everybody was smiling, but you were the one who didn't smile in every school picture. So you were the one who kind of stuck out of the group. But yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Well, you all get copies of the yearbook, and you sit, and everybody had nothing but nice things to say. Nobody dare ever say.
But what? How was you? How were you in school? Like, were you like this in school as well? Like, did you bully others and stuff?
I was much less civilized
in school. Hello?
Yeah.
In school, you were much more civilized. So how did you become so civilized until so crazy? Like, as you describe. Like, what happened?
So civilized in what? Nobody's ever really called me that. What did my friend say? He's the most intelligent, diabolical, scary, devilish motherfucker that you'll ever meet in your life. And at the same time, insanely charming.
Insane.
Whoever said the devil wasn't.
I mean, you would be good at picking up girls.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince the world exists.
But why do you play with the devil's how do you say, trumpet or fiol? I mean, you're a Christian. You're a Christian. You shouldn't play like the devil does, right?
Lucifer was God's best friend. Did you know that?
Yeah, until
you did.
I read some stuff, but
Lucifer was one of God's archangels, not angels, but archangels. You know what the difference is?
Archangels.
You don't. So maybe you want to go and look. So let me explain this to you. Is that by all accounts, including God's own word, the single closest and person that he loved the most before Christ came was Lucifer. No one he loved more or cherished more than him. And hence that was the beginning or the alpha or genesis of their disagreement.
So you admire Lucifer?
No, by all accounts, God does.
He did.
God said he is the most powerful force on planet Earth and in the world except him.
Yeah.
So, listen, you don't have to love Hitler or be a Nazi to understand the brilliance in Adolf Hitler. If it were not for just maybe 2 or 3 singular things that he did, he would, in the Third Reich, would rule the world today.
Of course. I mean, I don't like Hitler, but his ideas were very good. I mean, to be a conqueror, I mean, to have his Third Reich.
But it wasn't his ideas that motivated the Third Reich. It was him.
The people. But he was, let me say, he was like the kind of, the ironical thing is that one of his relatives were Jews.
Well,
That
no.
makes yeah. I think his
What
grandmother was a
that
Jew.
that Hitler, first of all, it was not Hitler that fostered the Jewish extermination project. Okay, it was Heinrich Himmler. Do you know who he was?
Some SS officer.
No. He was the architect. He and Alger Hess were the architects of the Third Reich. They were the Karl Marx of fascism.
Yeah. They.
As Karl Marx went, so did communism. As Alger Hess and Heinrich Himmler went, so did fascism.
Yeah.
And Goebbels was the executioner or the administrator. So it was their ideas that fostered all of these things. Their ideas were very much in line that Hitler believed in a superior race.
Yeah.
And to foster that superior race, we just talked about it. How did Germany do what they do? Because of what Hitler did. There's a residual effect.
When he said,
Do you know that people in Germany were rewarded for fucking smart people, superior, women and female specimens were rewarded. They were given homes and businesses and bonuses and titles and rank. And you know what?
Yeah.
Now it's their children that make BMWs and Mercedes and engineer the greatest projects or products in the world. So what he did was right, and it did work. Even to the extent that, 75 years later, they're just going good now.
So for me, it sounds like
their political structure was only in effect for a little over 14 years, not even. Hitler took office in 1933. The Third Reich collapsed in May of 1945.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you.
So, that being said, in 12 years, he did more to upgrade and promote the German race and economy, and the residual benefits of that are now carrying into almost 100 years.
Yeah. So you admire his work?
How can you not?
For a person who likes power, greed, and stuff, I could imagine it would be.
Well, I mean, for a person that wants everything that you just said but has none of it, that's generally the response of somebody who will never have it. Because in order to have it, there's a price tag. You walk over there and you flip it over and you decide whether or not you can or you cannot afford it. If you cannot, you decide whether or not you're willing to do whatever you have to do to afford it. Yeah.
Maybe I should. Yeah.
You can go to Walmart or whatever the Swedish equivalent is and buy a shirt, a pretty shirt maybe, for $10, $20.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Neiman Marcus and buy a Bruno Cucinelli or Meringildo Zegna, and that shirt's going to cost you $600 to $700. It's got buttons just like the other, albeit they're different. It will protect your torso just like the other, albeit different. It's just a question of what you want and whether or not you're willing to pay the price.
That's true. That's true.
And you know what? By all accounts, God doesn't begrudge man from having nice things as long as he remembers what the greater goal is, and that's to always do good things as you go along.
But you think Hitler did a good thing?
Well, I mean, certainly he did many bad things.
True. That's the thing.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So because you've done horrible things. You've done despicable things. If your mother and if your father were alive and to hear the things that you've said in phone calls that you've made, they would be ashamed of you beyond words. We're confident of that, correct? So because of that, does that make you an irredeemable piece of shit? Or is there still a chance of redemption?
I mean, I'll call you. The times I call you is before I go to bed.
No, I asked you a simple question. If your mother and father were to listen to excerpts that I would play for them of things that you've said and done, would they be ashamed or not?
Not exactly. It depends on what you say.
That's why you're a piece of shit.
No, it depends on what you said. I mean, the things you said
I'm not talking about what I said. It's about what you said.
I was the first time I spoke to you. I just wanted to have your opinion about Kurdistan. That was it. I mean,
I'm thinking about any and every time. See, you're picking and choosing, but you're forgetting all the horrible shit that you did.
Because it's hard to get an answer from you. Before.
No, it's not hard to get an answer from me. And even if I don't answer you, does that justify you?
But the thing is, you believe everybody who calls you believe it's me, but I'm not calling you.
Kurds, I would convince my mother and father that because you are a Kurd, that any and everything that I do is okay.
So it makes you okay just because I'm a Kurd.
Well, then what makes you different? If that's not okay, then obviously the things that you did would equally be not okay. See, part of growing to be a better person is acceptance of who you are.
I'm a good person if you have to know me, but
I don't have to know you.
If I never like,
by all accounts, you think you do, and you've made statements.
Which are my statements?
Support that.
But why do you believe that everybody calls you?
Let's just talk about the things that you have said about Brittany.
Dude, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You've said it too. You've said it too.
When did I say it? When did I say it? When did I say it?
Even if you didn't, the notion that you foster or you were setting there, what would your mother say to you? Really? If I wanted to take, you can look up the guy. He's a retired FBI agent. He works for me. His name is John Ray, R-E-A. He's a former FBI Organized Crime Division in Chicago. And I'm sure if I gave him $2,500 to $5,000, I would know exactly where you went to school, exactly where you live, exactly what your mother and father's name, where they're buried, and the list has only begun. And I'm 1,000,000,000% positive of that. And I'm even 2,000,000,000% positive that last weekend and one night I spent more than that at dinner Saturday night. So that being said, ask yourself one question. Why? Because there's other people that have pulled this shit that I have that ain't around now.
Because
why not you? Life's kind of like
I almost look.
Life's kind of like a list, Julian.
The last time I called you, I was in Italy.
Today that works for me. Don't underestimate or mistake my kindness for weakness. sometimes it's easier to be nice or make an attempt to be nice than it is to do the right thing. Even if that means fucking your life up as you know it.
But why?
It's much easier for me to take my hard-earned money and do nothing with it than something.
Then why do you believe
what? Sometimes when I'm sitting here and I decide that I don't want to eat anything that my maid cooks, I don't want to eat anything that's in the neighborhood, and I don't want to settle for anything but the best.
But the British guy told me that
I go and get my Visa or American Express Black Card, and I call a limousine to come pick me up and carry me wherever I want to.
Yeah.
In the interim, I got to dress up and make myself presentable.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, but here's the deal. You know that's the truth. You wish that was you.
But you've said it thousands
here's
of
what
times.
You've said 1,000 times. No, that's a lie. Let me correct that. More than 10,000 times you have said that you want to be me. I don't think that there's anybody ever in my lifetime, and if I took my father and mother and grandfather and grandmother and trickled down 3 generations, I'm pretty sure that nobody in the family combined cumulatively has ever called one another or spoken to anybody ever in the history of my family as much as you've called me in just a little over a year.
Then we have some
counted over 3,000 phone calls in 1 month. Now, when you put the numbers to it, and as stupid as you guys are,
but that's the thing.
It's hard to keep track now because I don't ever have to talk to you ever again unless I want to.
But that's the thing. You believe I call you all the time. I'm not the one who calls you all the time. I'm not the one who calls you all the time. That's the thing. You believe every time somebody calls you, you believe it's me calling me.
You know how I can tell?
How?
An IP address, my friend.
No, you believe
that all of your trickle down shit and your Google numbers and your smut numbers and your fucking all your little numbers and you going by heart. Do you?
I don't have Google numbers.
That there's somebody. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
No, it's not called Google numbers.
That's what you do. You've called me. Not always. You don't always use Google numbers. You know it and I know it. And a matter of fact, you know why I know it? Just if I was just a smart person and nothing else applied, you can only get so many Google numbers every day. And that ain't many.
But that's because I don't.
Trust me, my little Kurdish friend, you overstep your allocation. Great.
Last time I called you was like 2-3 weeks ago when I was in Italy. Since then I haven't called you. I just called you to see what's up.
You were on the phone with Dimitri tonight.
I was talking with Dimitri. He called you. He was like, yeah, let's call Tom.
You were on the phone. Maybe he called. You called. Who cares? You were on the phone with him tonight.
But how can't you recognize Dimitri's voice?
And do you know that if I flick a little switch, voice recognition technology, which is better known as VRT, is considered to be one of the most accurate identifiers on planet Earth. There's only one thing that supersedes it, and I'm not sure why or how. I just know that in this world of security, they say it does, so I will accept that as truth, and that's a retinal scan.
Beautiful, huh? Isn't it?
Do you not know that my best friend on planet Earth
John
died
Ray.
of cancer in September of 1999? That person was the inventor of voice recognition technology.
John Ray. John Ray.
So that being said, you tell me your friends and I'll tell you mine. I've already tipped my hat. But that being said, when he developed this technology, he had a very good friend that helped fund that discovery. And there's nasty rumors floating around that very good friend might have had the first name of Thomas. So don't be stupid and act like that in all your stupid little Google games and everything else. And here's what's even more interesting, is that, now, because some white guy goes and kills a bunch of black guys, and it was a horrible thing.
Yeah, it was a horrible thing.
It was
especially
horrible.
in prayers. It was
no
especially
matter what,
in prayers.
There's no excuse to go in a house of God and do something like that.
No, he was an idiot.
But because of that now, indiscriminately, he's fostered causes like mine greater than you can ever know. Because now Google's thinking and reconsidering, whether or not they want to and will allow stupid fucking retards prank calling people and putting stuff that is politically incorrect, socially unacceptable, and maybe offending even to the smallest minority on any of their search engines.
Well, you can't compare the guy with me.
In the process of that, when somebody would pick up the phone today, opposed to before he did that, and call and say, not only are you violating federal law by using my image without my express written consent.
You don't have any pictures.
But using my high school picture.
I haven't never used your high school. I never used your high school picture.
Yeah, you did.
When did I? When did I? When?
Yeah, you did.
When?
I don't go back. You act like I sat there and watch everything.
Where's your proof?
Even when you use my name without my express written permission and consent.
Tom, you're full of shit.
Your calls is on YouTube.
I have to tell you, you were right about the history and stuff, about Hitler and everything. I agree with you, but this is just
let me explain.
shit.
Do you know anything about trademark law and copyright law? Of course you don't. You're a fucking idiot. But let me explain something to you. In the International World Court, because I know a lot about this, because I don't just do business here, and I don't just do business in what y'all think I do.
Yeah.
Sweden and all Norwegian countries are basically the illustrators of much of corporate trademark and copyright infringement law. Okay? Because of people like those that issue Nobel Peace Prizes at Stockholm, you guys want to represent yourself as being the foremost authority in terms of what is right, both morally, professionally, and personally, than maybe a Russian. Because Russians don't give a fuck. Okay?
Okay.
So that being said, using a person's name, which is their logo, their likeness, or their voice without their expressed written consent.
You don't need an express written consent.
Have you ever watched a football game? Have you ever watched a baseball game? And it says,
do you watch soccer?
Any broadcast of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball, professional soccer, FIFA, the National Basketball Association, and the list goes on, is strictly prohibited And then it has in little writing, blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like, you know what, copywriting a video,
Yeah.
and you sell it in Sweden, and it was made in the United States, they will still come and arrest your ass in Sweden. Now, it may not be in their top list of things to do, and that's the truth, but it doesn't make it any less illegal.
But here comes the irony part. Yeah. Here comes the ironical part. Here comes the ironical part. Why do you still talk to me?
You know what? How many times do I tell you that you have never had, and you never will have, my permission to broadcast, record, or anything else?
I don't need that permission. I don't need that permission. No, I don't need that permission.
Yes, you do.
No.
Yes,
no.
You know what?
I don't need no
yeah, you do.
written
Matter
consent
of
or
fact, Taylor
express. I don't need
Swift just sued Apple and Google, and you know what? The World Court said, yes, you do. And it's not because it's Taylor Swift. It's because any broadcast or transmission or use without that person's expressed written consent is strictly prohibited by law. And here's the bottom line. The genesis of our conversations is an indulgence that may foster me getting more information from you. Having you on the phone more gives me an opportunity to say on said date at said time with the said number that you just called me from, that if in fact it's a Google number.
It's not a Google number, I'll tell you right now.
Google knows who gets these numbers. Yeah, of course. And then you know what, that little IP address pings. And when Google says that 59482 or 2819145 was given here and sent here, well, now you know the rest of the story. You ever watched a cop show, and the cop show infiltrates, the organization, and he pretends that he's your friend, and then all of a sudden that motherfucker's putting handcuffs on you? They probably even have those in Sweden, too.
No, man. I mean, I'll just tell you're just like, I mean, I see how much the prank callers have affect you. I've seen how much the prank callers have affect. Look at you, listen to you.
Frank Garrett is dead.
No,
and Mr. Thomas H. Stanfield III still does business every day. Mr. Thomas H. Stanfield III still laughs at how pathetic you guys are every day.
I'm tired of your narcissism, to be honest.
And when I'm bored, and there's nothing on TV, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not sleeping, because I never will that time, and you've called for the 48th time, I'll pick up the phone.
I'll tell you.
Isn't that funny? And you're right. You know what? You're almost kind of speechless now. And you know what?
Because I've been spoken to you for an hour now.
If we were setting it to fucking herd fucking, campfire, and you tried to convince them of some bullshit, like you're really my friend, or you tried to convince them of some bullshit that there was some really good reason why you called this man over 10,000 times, and that's a low number, mind you. What are they going to say to you? I don't give a fuck if they're retards in Mongolia, clubfoots in fucking, Kurdistan, or fucking Johnny Jackoffs or oligarchs in Russia, or beaners in the Sonoran Desert in northern Mexico from Chihuahua. They're all going to say the same thing. You know what that is, Julian?
What is that?
What the fuck is the matter with you?
Is that your answer?
No. That's what the whole world wants to know. What's the matter with you?
And you go by the name of Satanic racist. I think if people knew your name, you would have like 100,000 calls every day if they knew
They know my
really who
name.
you were.
They know my address. Now what?
Now what?
You hope,
but they don't know your number.
You hope that they can, foster a certain amount of success, which you solicit on YouTube. That's what you do. You try to call me and ride on my coattails. You know how I know this? It says it. When my private investigators, and it's the part of it's for free.
Yeah.
There's some of your friends that live here in this country, in England, are in prison now.
The guy, what's up with the British guy?
All the stupid shit that y'all do. Well, you know what?
What happened to the British guy?
Here's something interesting. When he called the other night with you guys,
yeah,
and I told him, if he called back one more motherfucking time, I would make that phone call. You know what's interesting? I haven't heard from him again. Have you?
Yes. He said he's going to call you very soon. He's going to call you pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass as he's running away like a pussy.
Well, what did he get caught for? Because
Because I asked him that one question. What did the judge tell you if your ass came back in front of him? And you know what he said? You were on the phone.
I was there.
Going to be good.
Because you're gonna be in court to see him, right?
No, I don't have to be in court. I don't have to be in court.
Well, you will meet him in court if he calls you again, right?
No, I don't need anything. All I need is just that recording. Click, which is automatically done now anytime you fuckers call. Because the truth is, it ain't happened yet, but there's a bill before Congress that's directly related to prank callers that really is less to do about prank calling and more about, what do they call it? Where prank callers call and say shit that ain't true, and then policemen and fire departments and pizza delivery people go and do shit, and it's all a crock of shit. Well, there's been in the state of Colorado, in the state of Arizona, in the state of Illinois, all of which I reside and have residences, it is a felony to prank call. You know what that means?
I'm having
any country that has a reciprocal agreement with the United States and the Justice Department. No, by the way, Sweden does.
No.
That they can come get your ass if they want to. And here's something that's even a little more funny. It's been upheld by the courts. You know what a bounty hunter is?
Yeah.
Like if a motherfucker comes into your country, puts you in a fucking bag, and drives you across the fucking border or carries you to a fucking private jet, and you wake up in the United States, you ain't going home. Now that's kind of fucked up. I admit that is kind of fucked up.
That's kind of the risk to take, you know? That's kind of the risk to take, you know?
Well, of course. But you know what?
Yeah.
If one of you guys really pissed me off enough, how are you going to feel if you're in that bag and somebody's whispering over you? Was it worth the risk you took?
That would be you whispering, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you go to prison, and that big nigger named Leroy is, saying, there's something we used to, tell people, and said, hey, motherfucker, I'm in a good mood today, so I'm going to let you decide. And the guy said, what? I'm going to let you decide whether or not you want to be the mama or the daddy. Now, which one's Julian going to pick? You probably